I welcome you with all my heart. Welcome to Sunday Satsang, November 9, 2019. I notice many of you come and sit rather restlessly, like Adam. Sometimes the others. It really helps to come 15 minutes at half an hour early and sit with us listening to chanting music. Rolf is here from maybe at 10 o'clock on. Sit in the silence. Sit in chanting music. Try to feel Rolf's energy. Sometimes it's hard to be alone with our own energy. We feel restless, like we ought to be doing something. We ought to be making some sort of effort. We ought to be playing some game. We ought to be preparing for dinner. We ought to do this. We ought to do that. And we feel restless. Nisargadatta said, just feeling our own consciousness is painful. It's like a fire. And we wanted to distract ourselves from it all the time into sports, entertainment, television, music, football. Anything to take our minds and our attention off of ourselves and put it someplace proper, like in a football game, a baseball game, a concert, a talk, a movie. So we get distracted, get entertained, distracted from our own restlessness and our own sense, once we settle in ourselves, that we shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing something helpful rather than doing nothing except being with ourselves. You know, Zen monks and most other kind of monks spend large portions of their day learning how to be with themselves. And when you spend time with yourself like that, your ideas about who and what you are change because your experiences of yourself changes. For the last week, my mind has not operated too well. It's been sort of semi-frozen. It feels great because it's so easy to rest in my beingness then. At the core of each of us, deep down inside, when we get through all the emotions and all the thinking and all the restlessness about what we should be doing, this is the core of just being, of being alive, breathing, feeling, seeing. And when we can rest in that, amazing things begin to occur. We find our own core of life, the life force. And the experience for me for the last week or so, it's been rather extraordinary. When I'm sitting still watching television with the others, I feel my beingness inside, the life force, spread throughout my whole body. It's hard to state what the experience is like. But there's a kind of translucency when I look within me. And I watch an energy field spread throughout my entire body. It's kind of darkish, grayish, but illuminated. There's a light coming from it. Sometimes it moves a little, but mostly it's very quiet. It feels massive, like a mountain, and intense, like a volcano before it explodes. And the feeling of power is quite a rush. It's the life force in me. When I first spotted it, it felt like God because it was outside of me, separate from the observer, like a bolt of electricity running from my gut through my brain and outside, of white hot electricity, but it didn't have a temperature. Just energy, explosive energy. It felt like a vast presence of power and light and holiness. That's why I called it God. I could see him all the time inside of me after that. I also noticed myself as Ed, as an entity embedded within my body also. A spiritual presence within the experience of my body, just like God was. After a while, they became so unified. It was hard to separate myself from my experience of what I had called God. But the one feeling is unmistakable, of divine power, of light, of perceived energies, felt movement, but mostly of power and quietness. The more quiet I was, the more settled I got into that power. I could feel this power radiating around me, but people weren't feeling it. You have to be still in order to feel it in another person. I feel it now too. Like a ball of living energy that fills my body. It's my own sense of presence, of being alive, being sentient or perceptant, being able to think and to hear, to talk and to walk. It's life within me. It's not just the life force of this body. In a sense, this body just represents all life bodies. We're all held together by the unique quality of being alive. Our DNA may differ, but subjectively, there are a lot of similarities in how we feel. A slug may not think, but it can feel in the way it feels with its limited senses. It reacts in fear, sometimes to vibrations or to light. Danger shrinks away. The same with an insect, or a mouse, or a cat. We're all life. We're all the same. We're life as a generic term. We're sentience, the ability to feel, to experience, to note, to do. So I ask you to join me and fall into yourself. Fall into an experience of yourself. Relax your body. You see, true spirituality is escaping spiritual philosophy altogether, giving up concepts, and just feeling for the life within you, feeling for your sense of beingness, just being alive, existing, feeling for the light within, for the life within, for the sentience within, for that which responds when your name is spoken in your sleep and you begin to rouse. That's you. It's not your mind. It's something deeper than mind. It's an automatic response to an external stimulus. It's on the cellular level, the most basic neurological level of a nerve twitching, the most primordial experience of a sentient being, just an external sensation, calling its attention, your attention, calling you alive, calling you awake. So relax. Feel the tension in your shoulders and your neck. Relax your chest and your back. Try to sink within. Sink into your heart, into your gut. Feel the inside of your body. Feel the diaphragm rise and fall. And your chest and back muscles and bones expanding and contracting with your breath. That's probably the easiest way to feel inside of your body, is to feel your body breathe. The totality of feeling the body breathe, not just the diaphragm or your muscles or the breath itself. Feel the totality of the breath going in and out of you. How your ribs expand and contract with your breathing. How your diaphragm goes up and down. How when you breathe out, you seem to relax more. When you take a deep breath and then breathe out slowly, you can feel anxiety and tension draining from all over your body. You begin to feel very relaxed. Maybe after you've done this for several months, you can begin to feel the existence of the life force within you. Most of the time it's hidden in more superficial layers of the self, of thoughts, of emotions, of passing sensations like tickling, hunger, anxiety. You feel restlessness. And if you're still and you don't move, the agitation of restlessness passes. And you get into the deeper self. That's quiet. By quieting yourself through progressive relaxation, you reach deeper and deeper layers until there's no more to go. You're in that deeper, deepest conscious layer. Which is that of the life force, the energy. This is not the deepest level. There are deeper levels of unconsciousness and of nothingness. But there's not much to be learned there. But there's everything to be learned at this level of the divine self, of the manifest self, not the unmanifest self, not the self that has no measure, no characteristics, and therefore no existence, but the existing self, the one that's perceivable, the one that's graspable, the one you can identify as you. especially you in relationship to God inside. This layer feels immortal because of the power you feel there. It's not. This level too passes when the body passes. But it makes the experience of sentience feel immortal. And fools so many people into thinking that there is no death. Some try to fool death by saying there's no self to begin with to die. But those are just words. A person who says that there's no self just hasn't felt it yet. Or they confuse the death of the idea about the self with the death of the self itself. But Advaitins who talk about no separate self, it's just an idea to them. They haven't experienced no self. But they grasp it hard as an idea because it gives them some comfort as an escape from death. There's nothing to die, or I'm already dead, so what's to be feared from in death? But as one gets older and one's interest in the world fades, one gets all the more interested in one's own self. What remains? What dies? Is there going to be anything left of me after the death of the body? Or is the death itself going to be so beautiful and so peaceful that it's like the final rhapsody, the fifth set? What if you died in such utter peace that there's no wishing for more? Everything you've ever wanted, you get at the end. You dissolve into increasing bliss and heavenly peace. Not, of course, if you're still in love with the world. But the older you get, the less you feel the draw of the world around you, constantly sucking at you or you sucking at it. As Robert would say, what does it mean to have your 20,000th dinner? Or to brush your teeth 30,000 times? How many more times do you want to do this before you lose interest? And then you find there's much more interesting things than brushing your teeth or eating a meal or having sex, buying a house. There's just sitting in your chair, feeling the life force within, like infinite light, infinite rest, and infinite power all in one bundle. It's very juicy. The self's unfolding is unendingly fascinating to you. You have finally found entertainment that really satisfies and doesn't end. After the fourth quarter. Doesn't end at the end of the concert. No matter how loud or how sweet the concert was. With the end comes a little sadness that it ended. But living in the self itself consciously, living in that energy, that power, that light, that energy is always fascinating. I know I ask people around me sometimes, what are they feeling? Sometimes they say, I'm not feeling anything, I'm thinking. Sometimes they say, I wasn't aware of doing either thinking or feeling. Or others say, I'm aware of warmth in my heart. Others say, I'm aware of my energy field. Others say, I'm aware of different kinds of things inside that are fascinating and unfolding. This way you find your truest entertainment. The entertainment that can take you into the next world. Your final entertainment of just being yourself, experiencing yourself, loving yourself, worshiping yourself as God. You are the beginning and end of the universe. I know that's the way they say it, when more realistically or rationally, you're the beginning and end of yourself, your existence. But the philosophers put it that you're the beginning and end of the whole universe. That's how it feels. But go inside now. Relax your body. Relax your muscles. Relax your mind. And feel within. Join me in feeling yourself as mine. Join in and find yourself inside as light and energy. Sometimes as love. Love is often the key to finding it for the first time. Sometimes you may feel that energy in your chakras, in the third eye, the heart, first or second chakras, or in your skull. But I find it spread throughout my whole body as quiet, stable, barely moving energies that are dense and almost palpable. Felt my legs, my hips, my gut, my chest, my face and head, my hands, my arms. All exude this life force. I can stay enthralled watching the life force all day, especially when watching a senseless TV program. I hear the program. I hear people talking in the background. I hear the characters talking on the TV. It's all very interesting how I perceive it and what I perceive, because I really perceive me, just me. So I ask people around me, what do you feel? What do you feel? What do you feel? And some I talk to, like Angela, like Vesselina, like Rolf, like Mark, can feel me. At the same time they feel themselves, they can feel me. They've learned to feel and see into energies. Can we have about 10 minutes of chanting music, Rolf?